gonna turn that down. I guess I can talk loud enough to over here.
How long are you going to do that for?
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the first edition of the Old Coach. Hi, I'm Coach Breedlove. I been coaching football and basketball for the last 30 years, and uh, we're gonna just get together, us old fellas, and we'll talk about what it's like to coach in the '90s versus what it's like to coach in the 2000s. Um, just want to take a little bit of time to try to share some of my experiences, and hopefully some of you young coaches, new coaches that might stumble upon this and look at it and can glean a little bit from it. So we just want to get right into it. A little bit about myself. I was born in a little place called Axton, Virginia, in Henry County, right down about 17 miles from Martinsville, uh, which was the big boom in town at the time. I played high school football and uh, never thought I would end up coaching. Um, after high school, I joined the Air Force, and I was really good at football. So I played football in the Air Force and traveled around the world and played in England and in their semi-professional league, and uh, had the opportunity to win the British Championship in 1992 and play in the European Championships. So and then went to Japan and ended up playing in Japan. Uh, and I started my coaching career coaching football at Crestview High School in Crestview, Florida. Uh, thank Coach Olson. He's one of the biggest influences I had on in my coaching career, and some of the things I learned from Coach Larry Olson and those guys at Crestview during those days really left a mark on me. And I thank Coach Olson for all of those uh, tidbits he gave me back in those days. And then uh, I started my basketball coaching career, and and when I went to uh, Turkey when I was stationed in Incirlik Air Base. I was in the Air Force for 25 years, obviously, and that's where I started taking coaching really serious as a head coach. And we was really successful there. And my first experience with coaching varsity basketball was with military kids, and that was a whole different ball game. The military kids were, disciplined. We practiced at 6:30 in the morning. And everybody showed up every day. Everybody was eager to learn, and it was you had a team parent that was one of the teachers from the school, so you basically all had to do was just show up and coach, and we were highly successful at that time. When I tell the kids to run, we ran. We getting in shape was um, that was just part of the game. It was none of hey, coach, this is what I like to do, and this is what I want to be like, and it was all about the team. And I find that back in those days, it was more about the team than about ourselves. Everybody was happy to win when we were winning um, district championships and going to places like Bahrain and winning our region championship and get to play in the European championships in Germany. It was exciting for our kids to be part of the team. It wasn't about who was ranked in the state, who was in the top 100, and all that we have today. And I just think that those kids at those times, they really just wanted to learn how to play, and they love how to play. I love to play basketball, and so that's. And then of course I moved on into where I'm at now, where I'm the head basketball coach at RB Stall High School in Charleston, South Carolina. And so I just thought it would be kind of interesting to reflect on what coaching was like back with those players versus the players that I encounter in today's game. So for those that will come on, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to put them down, and I'll try to answer as best as I can. Again, I'm just trying to put a little bit of a different perspective. Um, we all listen to all the well-known coaches and all the great ones, the Krzyzewskis and all those, but uh, I just want to give it from a point of view of a not so well-known, run-of-the-mill, average guy that loves coaching and loves dealing with the young people that I have. I've been blessed to come in contact with on a daily basis here in South Carolina. And here in South Carolina, I've found that um, I've had uh, from one end of the spectrum to the other. Uh, uh, One of my greatest pleasures was coaching at Military Magnet, which is a um, the only military public school here. And coaching with those young started out as the head girls coach there. And I find that if you want to learn how to run a play or see how a play runs, see the idiosyncrasies play, coach girls basketball. Because girls, I find that ladies will do exactly what you tell them to do. They won't deviate. You tell them you have to, the beginning of the play, you step here, you pass here. That's what they're going to do. You don't cut to the basket. They cutting all the way to the basket. Not like boys who think that they can do things and they're gonna do it their way, and so you're gonna I'm not gonna go to the front of the rim. I get halfway to the rim. I get to the bottom of the dotted line in the paint. That should be good enough. Of course, I find that young ladies will do exactly how the play is diagrammed, even though there's an easier option. They can basically get straight to the hole. But hey, coach, the play was here. So this is where you told us to go. This is where we go. So I found that that experience at Military Magnet was really shaped a lot about my coaching philosophy. A little bit about my coaching philosophy. I come from, like I say, I played. I was in high school in the late '70s and the '80s, so that's why I call this the old coach. Um, where a coach would get on you. I mean, he jumped down your throat and tell you this and yell at you and tell you, and it was accepted, and you go about your business, and it wasn't a whole lot to say it here. And so I adopted that. And so like I say, the military kids in the '90s, I could get away with it. They would follow me. They would do that. They had no problem with that because being military, they expected that type of hard regiment. Even here, when I got to Military Magnet and was coaching there, um, you had the same type response. But today's kids, that don't seem to work as much. Uh, they seem to want our kids want to be pampered. Our kids want to be um, well. Sometimes uh, they think that uh, they should tell you how the program should go. Uh, that they think that hey, because I'm such and such, and I've been here such and such amount of time, I should be. I have a say so. It's not that the coach puts it down, and that's what we want to talk about. Um, some of the questions that I would have. I've gained some great relationships with some of the coaches here in South Carolina, guys like Josh Staley, and congratulations to Josh, who just became the head coach at Ridgeview High School in Columbia. Yoshi English up at um, Hartsville. Guys like Coach Smalls from Colleton County, Coach. Leon Wheaton over at Woodland, Coach Earl B. from Burke High School. Coach has won 700 games or more here in the state of South Carolina. Sit and talk with those guys, gain this perspective of the players they play. Once we get on the court against each other, it's still a competitive, combative thing, but we sit down and we can talk about how we deal with uh, young people today. And hopefully, I can get some of those guys to come on, and also guys like Earl Grant, the head coach at Baptist Boston College, who's a graduate of Stall High School where I coach at. He's always been a good resource for me until he got the job there. Of course, he was at College of Charleston prior to going. And so I learned a lot, gleaned from him, and Coach Dave Davis, who's the assistant coach, head coach at College of Charleston now. When he was at Newberry College, loved going to his camps every summer. Take our guys up there to the team camp, and those guys are the ones I've tried to lean on and depend on to show me the millennial basketball player. The millennial basketball player got all these different options. Coaches have to combat losing kids to private school. Then we have to combat losing kids who just transfer or never show up in your attendance zone for middle school, high school. They go somewhere else. So we have all those things. So how do we combat that? How can young coaches become successful? How can young coaches make their mark when you have all these things all these things you have to consider when you become a head varsity basketball coach? I think it starts. I would let every coach know, especially understand the process. Volunteer, volunteer coach, coach them. Go to the rec league and volunteer to coach there. So many coaches now they just want to get a coach's stipend, um, and that's their main thing. But coach for free, because you'll find that when you're doing something for free, you will put your heart and soul into it if you want to be successful and if you really want to learn the game. Uh, don't go and try to find the best team. Go find the subpar, uh, the not so great team. Everybody, you go coach at the rec center, and you got a 6'5" eighth grader, and everybody else, kids are 5'4". You expect to win. How does that? How is that teaching you, and how is that developing you? So start out at a position where you are um, at a disadvantage, so you prove yourself. It'll make you go to coaches clinics. It'll make you reach out and find coaches that coach the type systems you want to employ. And how to reach these young folks. I found that uh, when I first started coaching in the '90s, uh, when you had a kid to come out, uh, they came out and gave their all every day. It was no excuses. We had practice every day. Not so much now. Every coach go through their different challenges, regardless if you got the best team or the worst team. You're going to go through some challenges, and you just have to figure out how to uh, uh, meet those challenges and still stay true to your philosophy and true to your morals and what you consider important. Uh, as an old coach, One of the first things I was taught is to once you determine how you're going to be a coach, stick to that, and everything else you need to evolve around that one premise. That what this is type coach that I want to be. This is the type, and when I mean, I'm not talking about an abusive or anything. I mean, I want to be an up tempo coach. I want to be a slow down coach. I want to be a methodical coach. I want to be the Princeton offense type coach. Uh, Once you establish that, then you go about perfecting that philosophy, getting yourself around um, that type of individual that's going to take and be receptive. It's amazing when I see these young coaches now. Uh, they're thrown in situations and they think they know everything. You know, they don't want to listen to the old coach. The old coach don't know what he's talking about. Um, and the old coach, you ain't never won nothing. You ain't been a state champion. Why I gotta listen to you? So we you have to combat that, and then they don't understand how they're not successful. Now, if you're given great teams, great players, you can be successful straight away. But if you're in a small 1A public school where you may have one or two good players and everybody else got to fit in there, now you got to prove your salt, what you're worth. So learn about your craft. Figure out what you want to do, write it down, and then proceed to meet that goal. So when you come across the players of today, I can remember when my brothers played back in the '70s. Uh, the old coach was, his word had a lot of clout. It carried a lot of weight. So now, hey, this coach is for this, but if another coach come talk to me and tell me this, and he's telling me something better, telling your parents something better, I'll forget about this coach. Nowadays, the kid now, uh, uh, he's going to listen to them, and they almost like they want you to give them a contract. You have to prove yourself to the kid, to the players, instead of the players understanding that you there for a reason, and that you do have know-how. But again, you know, I understand that now things are earned. It is not given to you. Just because you call yourself a coach, don't mean that everybody's going to follow you. So your kids, you have to make sure that your kids see you improving yourself in the off season. Just like you have off season for the kids, you need to have an off season for yourself as well. That you employ to make sure you getting better, that you growing and the knowledge of the game. So again, I just thank everybody for those that will watch this later and see the first episode of the old coach as we talk about the old player versus the new player. So we uh I look forward to that. If you do happen to look on it, please leave me messages and I'll try to answer those. But we will be coming back on a weekly basis. So next Sunday night at 7 o'clock, I'll be back on the old coach, and we'll be back on to talk about a little bit more of the old ball player versus the new ball player. Uh, Thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Again, good evening from the old coach.
I said to Mika,